You are! Say hello to everybody.
Yay! Hey guys, buddy.
Wow, thank you so much for joining. There's definitely people here that are excited to speak with you, and we just watched the I Can't Wait music video. You guys really did a great job with that song. I have to say, thank you for putting what so many people are feeling into a song that is somehow both full of the strange feeling we all have, that weird, unexpected, like not quite knowing how to put our finger on it, longing for something to come next, but still really hopeful and keeping the knowledge that our friends are closer than they seem right now to all of us. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
So where are you guys? Why don't you tell everyone where you are right now?
Okay, I'm currently in Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada. Inside, at home, as it should be. Yeah, that's where I'm spending most of my time now.
Vincent, I hear the birds in your background.
Yeah, I'm in the backyard of my parents' house in the Netherlands, and it's almost getting dark, so I might just go back inside in a little bit. But
well, before you do, I know that this is the backyard that inspired I Can't Wait. Would you pan the camera around for everyone real quick and see if they can't get a view?
So this is like the little spot that the sun just went on there, though.
So that's beautiful.
That's kind of sad. But yeah, I was sitting here and having a call with my friends, and yeah, that's when that idea came about.
How long have you guys been in quarantine now?
That's such a difficult question.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Were you guys already home when everything happened? I mean, what was kind of the timeline for you guys? Had you been on the road? Were you working on music at home anyway?
So I just went home like right after the Detroit show that we did. And I was gonna be home for like 1 week and then go back to America and do the rest of the shows. But during that week, actually, everything pretty much happened. And on that Thursday, yeah, the borders were closed. So I wasn't even able to fly back, and that's also around that time that we, yeah, decided that it would be better to cancel all these shows.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a really tough decision. Not easy.
It really was. It was a pretty crazy time because, I mean, we're in different time zones, 9 hours apart from each other. And like, I was watching the addressment of the nation, where, and basically like when Vince went back to the Netherlands, all of us were just thinking like, well, the worst thing that could happen, which will probably never happen, is if America would close down the borders for all European visitors. We were like, we talked to a bunch of different people, excuse me, and everything, and none of them were, everybody was like, nah, that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And then I was watching that live stream, and they were just like, well, we're going to close the borders. Yeah. So it happened, yeah. Yeah, it happened. So, shit really hit the fan.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Every part about what's happening right now is completely unprecedented. And I was just saying to everyone on the stream that, you know, I think that's what makes this situation very unique. No one who's alive right now has experienced something like this that is so global. Everyone around the world, everyone who's on the stream right now, you guys, me, we're all experiencing this strange, unprecedented moment together. And that's where I think the solace comes from. And, you know, I think that's maybe what helped inspire the track. Can you talk to me about what's really interesting to me as well is like, you guys weren't together and you both were independently inspired and working on things. Can you talk to me about that process? Vincent, maybe start with you.
Like, first of all, it's like getting used to this whole new thing. Was very surreal. So I also kind of had to like make a shift in my mind in how to even cope with it all, and therefore also I noticed that I was making a lot of different music than I would normally make. And
in what way?
Well, in the way that I was. Well, yeah, I think also this track is a testament to that it it has some influences that I didn't think that I would use in a Droeloe song.
Well, it sounds like it is something that came straight out of you for a reason, you know? Clearly, you did it very quickly. I don't know that you were overthinking, maybe just reacting, just emoting. Like,
yeah, it was definitely more of a like a flowing thing. I felt like I need I needed to get it out in some way. It was very like cathartic in a way that yeah, just working and recording that trumpet and like singing and writing that lyric. Although it's not even like that difficult and impressive of a lyric and stuff. It flowed really nicely and yeah.
I see what you're saying, but I think the simplicity here is what makes it really striking. It's just what everyone's feeling, you know. Hein, tell me about what spurred you to build these beautiful images. They have this almost like everything seems so abandoned, but this girl jumping around through this playground is really hopeful at the same time. And I think her jacket's yellow, right? It's this very springtimey look.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had the idea of doing at least something with like the subject matter and just the feelings that I had at the time. After like 48 hours of dealing with all of this stuff, and like for me, it's like I have like Vince is still in the Netherlands, my mom and the rest of my family too. So I felt like I was kind of like encapsulated by bad news and like just horrible things, and I kind of felt like the only way for me to not constantly think about that and put all my energy into that was to put my energy into something else. And that's why I figured like, well, maybe make something cathartic with this whole situation. And that's kind of how the idea for the artwork came about. And originally me and Vince were both working on it separately, and we were both dealing with it in our own way, but not really. The plan wasn't for the two to be paired up, but when we both heard and saw what we worked on, we were like, "Well, this is too good of a combo to not pair it up."
Yeah.
And how did it feel?
It was actually incredible how that came about.
Yeah.
Because, when you talked about that idea and like around the same time you heard the song, we're like, "Yo, this yeah."
You guys were like, this is why we work together. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
It works even when we're not trying.
I think that's funny enough how usually a bunch of our like creative interactions go, because everything's just, if we're both on the same page on what type of feeling a song is trying to convey, or the other way around, that's kind of like what we usually go off of, where there's a clear distilled story here that we basically need to honor both visually and auditive.
Yeah. And you guys are selling prints of these artworks on your site, no? Or when will that happen?
They went live yesterday.
Great. Awesome. So some people were asking what artists y'all take the most influence from, both musically and visually. Who are some of the artists that have been really important in your formative process?
But I, for myself, have a nice little Pinterest board. You know, Pinterest also gets used for serious things instead of remodeling your kitchen.
That can be very serious.
Yeah, it can be very serious. But there's a lot, like just to name a few, like there's this guy called People.
I love People.
Yeah, I love People. It's crazy. Like I've been following him for so long now, and it's just insane to see that he's been doing this daily for more than 5 years now.
I follow him on Instagram, and his like every day. It's so crazy.
It's insane. Like I've seen, I think more than 5 years at this point. Like, and the craziest thing is like I've seen interviews with him where it was like even on the day that my daughter was born, I posted an image, which was a really crappy image of like a 3D baby, pretty much. But at least it's something, you know. And I think that's really admirable.
Yeah.
To have such a commitment to it all. And then besides that, there's another guy called Ash Torp, who's been a really big inspiration for me. Insane designer who's like worked on a bunch of really cool movie projects, Ghost in the Shell, and
yeah, that's a classic.
All of that stuff. And there's like infinite amount of other people that really inspire me.
Vincent, what about you?
Yeah.
What about on the musical spectrum?
There's also like a big number of people that I can get inspired by.
Yeah.
But like for the people that inspired me the most and like the longest have been Noisia. It's like drum and bass. Love them.
If you don't know about Noisia in this stream, y'all better go listen to some Noisia.
Yes, you should. Also, Culprate is I still don't really know how to pronounce his name, but
I bet that happens to you guys too. So
it happens to us too. So it's in the end, it doesn't really matter. But I love his.
What do you mean? It's super clear, you know.
No, yeah, he's crazy. His music is awesome, and has been a big inspiration. Yeah. Apart from that, I try to find like inspiration with all kinds of music and as much different styles of music as possible, actually. And yeah. I went through this phase where I pretty much only listened to like world music and like from Irish folk to like Sahara blues to all kinds of cool stuff. Awesome.
Some people asked, Hein, what program you use to make your art?
A bunch of different programs, but mainly Cinema 4D with the Octane render engine. That's kind of been the wheels of the whole thing. But obviously, like Photoshop and After Effects and all that.
Is there a program you would recommend for someone who is interested in getting into visual arts that maybe is a little easy for a
yeah, definitely. I mean, Cinema 4D is super nice, and I think like the reason why I chose that as my preference is because it's kind of simple to understand. But Blender, for example, is a free open source program.
Cool. Free.
I think that's like the lowest entry point, where it's like there's no excuse. It's not crazy expensive. It's completely free, and there's more than enough resources online to start learning it.
A few different people also asked how you guys found your unique style. And I think what people hear in terms of advice from a lot of artists is be unique. Find something different to do. And of course, that's easier said than done. So maybe you could give us a little bit of the backstory on how you guys found your voice as artists.
I think it's a lot to do with experimenting endlessly. And before the Droeloe project, I think Hein and I both, in our different like fields of work, we used to do a lot of experimenting, and we went through like all different types of making music and making art before we thought like, hey, maybe trap could also be a cool thing to try out, like trap music.
Oh yeah.
And that is how like this thing started. And then at some point, I feel like for both of us, there just clicked something, and it was like a accumulation of all the things that we've done before Droeloe, and it all got like came together in such a way that it really felt like us. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, and then I think also for me personally, it's like I've kind of always looked at it as to try and stay as close to yourself as possible, and therefore it being unique. Because I mean, there's nobody like you, and that's kind of what I try and do, is just to keep it as close to myself as possible, and keep the interpretations that I do of certain songs as close to myself as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of I think how you stay unique, quote unquote, I guess. But it's also like your stuff is always going to sound like something or look like something, and people have different references, and to really be unique, as in like I've never seen or heard this before, I think is a pipe dream. But just try it. I think just stay as true to yourself as possible.
Someone wants to know what you would recommend for starting a music project, and where to submit tracks, and whether to distribute music on your own or try to find some labels.
Ooh,
it's an interesting question. I mean, to be fairly honest, from our end, we kind of we lucked out.
Yeah,
kind of. Because
we definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely did. I mean, we started just dropping tracks on SoundCloud with kind of like a 30-minute thought about like, okay, cool, we'll do this and this and this, and then we just dropped it on SoundCloud and made sure that we all shared the Facebook link at the Facebook post at the time, and that was kind of it. And then we just lucked out by Son and Bitbird hearing our music through some weird via this person, via that person.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Chain. And then all of a sudden, like, we got management and had a label to release on it, and everything kind of went from there, you know. So we're maybe not the best judges on you should do this, this, and this to make it in the music industry, because we, in the very beginning, lucked out.
But I do think that consistency and if you like have the feeling that you really enjoy a certain sound, that you and a certain way to putting it out, that you should stick with it, and whether that's on SoundCloud or whatever platform, doesn't really matter. I think, I think that if you want people to find you, that is also like a great way to tell them, like, hey, this is what I can consistently keep doing, and therefore you are also more interesting for labels to pick up. And because if you just have one track and try to push that track to a lot of different people, they still don't know if you are able to make a follow-up track. So I think to just keep creating and keep putting it out there, regardless if it gets picked up right away, because you can also always release, well, not always, but there is a lot of options to release later, like tracks that are already on SoundCloud or something. And just not being scared of doing that is a very good way to go about it, I feel.
And then I really liked this. What can you say to people who are starting to get into music but are afraid of failing? Feel it here.
Yeah. I think failing is a matter of perspective. Yeah. I think it's really hard to actually fail at music. I think you really cannot fail at music, because if you like it, then it doesn't really matter if how many other people would like it too. Like, I think it's also just staying true, like making what you want to hear. That's what music is about for me, and also for us both. I think that we want to make what we want to see and hear.
Yeah. And I think that failing in general is just like it really depends on what your goals are, you know. Because if failing in music is failing into making it your full-time career, then yes, that can obviously be scary, especially if you put everything on the line for it, of course. But I think maybe in that situation, you just got to focus on making music that you have fun making, and maybe that's already succeeding in music, you know. If you're having fun with it, then it's just a cool hobby. Because I mean, turning your hobby into your career is obviously a thing that a lot of people dream about, but it's also, at the end of the day, it's also not for everybody. So I think it's just more focus on having fun with it and focus on enjoying what you make.
I think if you're having fun with something, keep doing it. And if it stops being fun, take a step back. Some TJ Neutron said, your drum lines are so beautifully delicate and intricate. Can you break down a bit of the thought process that goes into building some of your tracks?
Ooh. Yeah. Layers, a lot of layers. And I try to record more and more stuff too. Yeah, it's mostly like, as far as the drum lines go, it's just like ideas, like a lot of different ideas that I layer on top of each other, and then they together form this more intricate, almost sometimes polyrhythmical feel. Yeah. Don't really know other words to describe that.
How do you know when a track is done? I'm always amazed by that.
You don't. You just release it. Just release it. Yeah.
I think that's what almost every creative expression. It's never truly done. It just gets released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you move. Then you make the next one, and it's just a constant expression that never ends. All right. Oh, what was the inspiration for both the song and the art of snow shovels?
I think kind of similar to I Can't Wait, but without the global pandemic.
True.
I think it was wintertime around that. Yeah.
Or at least it was very cold in the Netherlands.
It was very cold, and it seemed like very grim. That's what I remember. Outside it was super grim, and it was just it was like a metaphor of how grim it was, and then still trying to think of the sun and to think that better times will come back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they did then, and they will now.
Yeah.
It's always
really funny. I was right before this stream. I was taking a little walk around the block, and I saw that somebody crayoned "It'll All Be Okay" on the floor with like a rainbow. And I was like, that's very pretty. I have to catch a stream, otherwise I would take a picture of it.
Oh my gosh, now I'm inspired. I want to get some chalk delivered and just go around writing happy messages on stuff.
That's
awesome. I also saw a lot of people going out on walks and meanwhile just picking up trash. That was everywhere. But yeah, I think it's great that people take this time, the time they have to like kind of contribute something, whether that's picking up trash or crayoning stuff on walls. More of that. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
People followed up with a bunch of drum questions, and I think it can really be boiled down to, do you guys make your drums? Do you use packs? Where do the sounds come from, and how do you put them together?
It's a little bit of both. I use some packs, and like they're all blended together in like we both used to go to art school, and in art school there was this vibe of everybody just shared all the packs that they had. And so that was all pre-Splice time. I've never used Splice. I'm open to it, but I feel like I've got enough samples already. But yeah, I use like a bunch of those old packs, and then I combine them with stuff that I record, whether it's like my own finger snaps or I have some like brushes that I like hit on different materials and stuff.
Mm-hmm. You know, when we were talking about how to find a sound that's unique to you, I think creating some of your own sounds is an easy way to make something unique and not just relying on sample packs or sounds other people have used, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a lot of talk about so many different collabs, people wondering if you'd collab with people or what happened to collabs you had with people. Cali, Martin Garrix, Sub-Zero Project, so many names. So maybe can you just talk about like how collabs happen? I mean, you said you can't really talk about collabs you're working on, but I guess there's a process to this, right? Like,
there
why
kind
did
of
some
is,
collabs
yeah.
come out? Why, like,
I think it's that, like, it's like a collab is in the end just also working on another track, and with all tracks, like for all artists, I think that it, sometimes it works, and sometimes it is a cool idea that doesn't really go anywhere or doesn't fit both the brands, and I think, yeah, like when it works, it's really dope then, and it should be finished. And I'm not saying that there is not still cool stuff out there that we could finish, but in the end, it's like a case by case thing, definitely.
I loved this question as well. Someone asked how you stay motivated creating, whether it's music or art, both of you, when you have moments of blockage. Like, I think that happens to everyone. Motivation is not a constant, no matter how much we wish it was or how much coffee we drink.
Yeah, true.
So, have you guys found ways?
Any creative block can be lifted after 3 flat whites.
I wish.
I wish it was.
Yeah, I wish it was so simple. I mean, personally, I think those moments happen, you know? You're going to be creatively blocked at a certain time. And what I personally try to do is to then maybe not focus on that big project that you're working on that needs a lot of creativity and a lot of attention, but maybe shift your focus for a little bit towards some smaller things, whether that's like cleaning up your house even, or like doing the dishes or whatever. Just to kind of give yourself that like endorphin and dopamine of, hey, I completed something, while not being able to complete the bigger tasks.
Yeah, definitely. And also, it happens to everyone, like we just said, and therefore it's okay to experience that, and like telling yourself that it is okay is also a great way to like at least make the time that you are blocked probably shorter as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I saw something really nice the other day where somebody posted like a nice little text image of like, it's okay if your routine changes because of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's true, you know, like,
yeah,
situations change even with this like massive pandemic, of course, but also just in life, you know, of course we all strive for like a consistent work ethic of like working as hard as possible for the most consecutive time as we can, but something like stuff happens, you know, like anything can happen, and it's okay. Like life happens, and you gotta appreciate that, or at least try to appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. I also shout out my boyfriend. He said the other day while we were talking, like, everyone has this feeling like they need to do something really special with this moment because all of a sudden they're indoors and maybe they have more time. But it's also really okay if all you do is get through it.
Yes. Yeah.
No
yeah.
big...
Very true.
Very true.
I think we both felt that pressure in the beginning too, right? At least I did.
Yeah, same here, man. It's like you see everybody. Funny enough, you see everybody and their mom being like, "Hey, here's my Twitch schedule. Like, I'm now streaming on Twitch 5 days a week," and we're just like, "And like, what are we doing?" But yeah. I mean, we're just trying to get through it, you know, and trying to come up with ways that help us get through the situation, but also do quote unquote more work. But I think for me personally, I'm just trying to do things better instead of doing more.
Yeah, doing things better, and also just doing things that we really like connect with. Like if we were to do like some more Twitch stuff, we're definitely gonna do something that is in the line of what we already were doing. And yeah,
make it you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Pronoi Music says, what plugins do you use most for processing sounds? And someone else also asked, do you spend more time using samples, or do you spend more time designing sounds? Maybe you can kind of touch on both.
I use Serum a lot, and it's like synthesizer plugin, and I mostly build my own sounds in there, so I don't really like using presets, but I do sometimes use those and then like mess and like flip them over pretty much. And also in terms of processing sound, there's this awesome plugin called Gulfos. I think that's how you pronounce it. GULFOSS. And it's this almost artificial intelligent equalizer thing. And I only discovered it recently, and it's amazing. So go check that out. It's been in the making for 10 years, I believe. It's awesome. And in terms of samples, I have this really chaotic sample library in which I don't know where to find anything. I pretty much, just go to a place that I've never been before and then see if there's a cool sound that inspires me. And that's how I, most of my time, use like samples, if I do. Yeah.
Organize your stuff. No, just
Maybe I should. Yes.
I mean, who knows? Maybe there's.
I don't know.
Maybe there's some organization within the chaos. You know.
That's true.
I
That's
guess
very
there
true.
is. I have like certain spots, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, like it's. I mean, it's hard, man. Sometimes to organize all your stuff while
it is hard
creating as well. Like.
It is really hard.
It's difficult.
I love this question from MB Hound and Bound. Both of you, which one of your older songs or artworks holds the most nostalgia for you now? What touches you to go back and think and hear or see?
You take a one now.
For me, Bon Voyage. I think that's like. That one holds the most nostalgia to me as a song, but also as the artwork. For me, the artwork was kind of also based around nostalgia. We kind of took this song and created this story, which was super relatable to us both, being like growing up in the Netherlands in like kind of like the similar area, and what like everybody used to do, and I think a lot of people still do, is go on vacation to France and go camping, and it would just be like, because it's not that far from the Netherlands, so you would leave like super early in the morning or late at night the day before, and like all you would do on that like 8-hour car ride is like play your Game Boy, just play one on your Game Boy, and just watch the lights pass by and stuff like that. And that's kind of what we used as a story for that song. And for me, that was very nostalgic, because that was like every summer for me, and like until I turned like 15.
For me too, actually. For me, the Bon Voyage is also the most nostalgic track, and artwork also. Not for the same reason necessarily that I didn't go to France that often, but was made right before we went on our first tour. So to me, that time period was just looking back at the time when that got created is special in itself. And that, together with the track Lily Pads, which was created right at the end of the first tour, like those two are the most nostalgic for me because of those reasons.
This is my question. Now that you're kind of forced to be inside, what are some things you miss the most about being on the road, or like what are just the part? I know it can be tough and chaotic, but what are some of the better moments? Right
now, I miss the most that to play trumpet and the cajon, I still don't know how to properly pronounce that.
But you miss playing
But that was like so dope to do, like playing those instruments on stage, and I only got to do it for a couple times now, but I really really want to get back at doing that because that was just so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, Hein, were you on the road the last time? I guess you weren't.
I was there for the first couple shows.
Yeah.
Just that. I mean, obviously, also just to see the show. You know, I've never seen a Droeloe show before that. So it was. Yeah, true. Because it's like we've always been together on stage, you know, and like I had never seen Droeloe live before that. So it was just. I mean, it was a super fun experience. Like after just seeing Vince on stage by himself and really doing what he loves to do, and seeing that was really nice to see.
And
but
seeing
yeah,
what
I mean,
you helped create be like enjoyed by so many people. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Also, like touring on a bus is just because we never did it before. It's a total 180 from flying every day.
Definitely,
like it's crazy how different it is. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it yesterday or 2 days before, like, because I mean, we've been working remotely with each other, but also with the rest of our management team for so long that like this situation is kind of not necessarily really different from what we usually do on a day-to-day basis. But I mean, I do miss seeing my friends, and I think both me and Vince are fortunate enough to not spend this quarantine completely by ourselves. So that kind of helps it. But I was just thinking, like, if this thing goes on for like 2 more months, I'm probably going to get a little crazy of not being able to like go see your friends and like go for dinner somewhere, or I don't know, just like go do things and not have this giant cloud above everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you are out there all by yourself, we love you and you can pull through. And just want to like tell you this because love is something that can be shared, and you should do it. Yeah.
Our hearts go out to you.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you again so much for coming and joining me today. It was really fun chatting with you guys and connecting with everyone on the stream. Is there any last thought or message that you want to say before I let you go here?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us because this was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm so glad. You're welcome back anytime. Love to you guys.
Right.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.